Predator is an interesting franchise that almost wasn't even a franchise at all. The production was intense to say the least. The original creature design was so bad that Jean-Claude Van Damme, the original actor for the Predator, quit mid-production. Luckily, Stan Winston, a special effects artist who was known for his work on films like Aliens, The Thing, and Terminator, came onto the film to design a new creature. And thanks to that new design and the incredible work from both cast and crew, an iconic new franchise was spawned. And in my opinion, it is one of the more consistent film franchises still running today. And I think a lot of that has to do with its versatility. Unlike many of the other action or horror franchises that spawned from the same era, Predator opted not to follow the same hero or keep bringing the same monster back. And the sequel even sticks to this. We're no longer following Schwarzenegger's Dutch. And yes, while this Predator isn't much different than the first, it is technically an entirely new character. Sadly, while still enjoyable, the sequel couldn't quite capture the magic of the original film. And we wouldn't get another full Predator film for 20 years. We did get 2 AVP films, one of which I quite enjoy and the other not so much. 2010's Predators was also pretty good. It was an interesting take to show predators hunting on their own turf, had some intense action, and a couple cool callbacks. And it clearly was setting up for a sequel to see some of these characters return. But the film wasn't a huge hit commercially or critically, so that sequel never came. Which led to waiting another 8 years for the next Predator entry. And with Shane Black directing, who was in the original Predator and was hot off the critical smash that was The Nice Guys, it was looking promising. But sadly, The Predator was a full critical and commercial failure. That leads us to the 2 most recent Predator films, Prey and Killer of Killers. And to me, both of these films are peak Predator. Prey perfectly captures the tension and dread from the original film, all while telling an intriguing new story about a young Comanche woman trying to prove her skills as a hunter. And Killer of Killers gives us by far the best action seen in the franchise, and includes 3 intriguing character stories that come together beautifully by the end of the film. So, how does Predator Badlands stack up? Does it continue the potato sans? Does it continue the potato sans? Does it continue the potato sans we've been in, or are we back to the dark ages of 2018? Alright, let's get on with it. Hello there and welcome to this episode of BFG Reviews. As always, I want to thank everyone who's watched my previous videos, remind everyone to like, comment, and subscribe, and give an extra special thanks to anyone who's already liked, commented, or subscribed. It really means a lot, so sincerely, thank you. Now, on to the review, which is...
Can't be killed.
Predator Badlands. Co-written and directed by Dan Trachtenberg and starring Demetrius Schuster-Colamontangi and Elle Fanning. Predator Badlands follows Deck, a Yutja runt, after he's been exiled from his clan and crash lands on an extremely hostile planet. Determined to regain his honor, Deck allies with a damaged synthetic named Thea to hunt the Death Planet's own apex predator. So, getting straight into it, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Predator Badlands is an exciting, action-packed, surprisingly funny, and heartfelt film with strong themes about the validity of found family and the strength that comes from cooperation. It's not a perfect film. I can see why some might not like it, especially hardcore Predator fans. This is the first Predator film to feature a Yutja as the main protagonist. I mean, technically the Predator in AVP is a co-protagonist, and while he's still badass, he's not much of an actual character. The film wastes no time. The opening scenes perfectly introduce Dek as the hero about to go on his journey. These scenes set up such a strong motivation for the young Yutja that you immediately, for the first time in this franchise, are rooting for the Predator to get his trophy. Well, maybe the second time. And I think a lot of that actually comes from Demetrius Schuster-Kolomantangi's performance. I didn't know this going into the film, but originally they were planning on using an animatronic Predator head, like they had for the previous films, but the director wasn't satisfied with the range of emotion the animatronic could perform. So they opted to keep Demetrius in a full Predator suit, all except for his face, which was then performance captured and layered with a CG Predator face. And I think it actually paid off. You really feel the pain and terror and grief through his performance, especially in these opening scenes. I do want to quickly bring up the visuals, because this film does look really nice and has some impressive cinematography. And there was never a moment where I thought something that was on screen didn't look like it was actually there. I will say there was one creature design that I did not vibe with. It was the eyes. They're just too goofy looking. It reminded me of the Hyde's eyes from Wednesday, which is not a good thing. I did think it was smart to have Dek not have the typical Predator weaponry and equipment. It made things more of a challenge, raised the stakes, and even worked within the story. And it forced Dek to actually learn about the planet's flora and fauna. And it's when he's about to die from one of those fauna, using the flora, is he forced to accept help and meets Thea. Now, this is where I think the film will either lose you or lock you in, because there is a definite tone shift when Thea is introduced. But luckily for me, I locked in. I loved Elle Fanning as Thea. She gave such a deadpan and dry performance with moments of fierce joy, but it makes sense for her character. And she brings a lot of humor to the film, just through the way she'll state the obvious or find the mundane fascinating.
Quick question, sir. What should I be doing?
I find myself laughing more often than I would expect for a Predator film. Her and Dek also have amazing chemistry. Right off the bat, they feel like bickering siblings, which makes sense for the story and helps build the film's theme. Thea also gets a good amount of development and goes through a genuine arc about choosing between her mission and her new ally. There is a semi-twist villain that is introduced a little over halfway through the film, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. While it fits perfectly into the story and even helps strengthen the message, I'm still iffy about the whole character. And I think part of that came down to the performance. It was just a bit too stale for me, which again made sense for the character. I just wasn't feeling it. Maybe it was because with the introduction of this new antagonist, the whole film kind of shifts from what I was expecting. Perhaps on a rewatch I'll be able to appreciate this more, but for now it just didn't work for me. I will say the climactic battle with this villain was spectacular. I loved how they had Dek actually using what he'd learned throughout his journey in this final fight. I especially enjoy how he remade his Predator armor and weapons using the plants and animals that were trying to kill him less than a day ago. And the film still manages to get some humor in there without diminishing the intensity of the scene. And the whole climax is intense with a wide variety of action. There's firefights, biological warfare, and hand-to-foot combat. The action as a whole in this film is solid, but they definitely saved the best for last. There is a pretty big film cliche near the end of the battle that I really can't stand. I'll try to stay vague to not spoil anything, but basically, they try to make you think that the battle is over when it obviously isn't. That's only a small gripe though, and luckily the film's final scene, again trying to stay vague, is essentially Deck having one more very personal fight, and almost everything about this fight reinforces the themes behind the film. And what I particularly loved was how Deck used the moves that were used against him in the opening fight scene to come out victorious in this one.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
The film then actually ends on a joke, but like all the humor in the film, it feels natural and comes from a character simply answering a question directly. One word I would use to sum up this film is unexpected. Based on the marketing and the previous Predator films, I was expecting more of a simple story about a warrior trying to kill a big monster in order to prove himself. But the film surprised me with the direction it took, and I think for the most part it paid off. Because in the end, Predator Badlands isn't your typical Predator film, but that's what makes it so interesting. It gives character to what has been, let's face it, fairly one-dimensional creatures, and uses that subversion to craft a story about finding yourself outside familial expectations and the power that comes from forming strong bonds. With solid visuals, a good amount of laughs, and some strong action, Predator Badlands certainly continues the current potato sans, and is easily a B-tier film. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Predator Badlands. Let me know your thoughts on the film, and what's your favorite or least favorite Predator film in the comment section down below, as well as your thoughts on my art or what other films you'd like me to review. Thanks everyone, remember to hit that like button, and I hope you're having a savage day.